roll.
Krista.
Thank you.
Josh.
Here.
Eric.
Here.
Cheryl. Here. Oscar.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Let the record show we have a quorum. And the next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
I so move.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Right, it has been, the motion has been moved and second, and the agenda has been approved as presented. All right, hearing, none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. And our result carries. The next item is the approval of the minutes from the January 13th, 2026 meeting. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I so move.
Okay. And second by, second? Krista? All right, it has been moved and second to approve the minutes from January 13th, 2026. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Right, result carries. We'll now open the public forum. This is an opportunity for anyone to address the commission on items that are not on tonight's agenda. And do we have any speakers?
We do. Jen here's.
Say that again.
Jen here's.
Jen. Okay,
Did you say to not on tonight's agenda?
correct. This is an opportunity for anyone to address the commission on items that are not on tonight's agenda.
Are you gonna open public comment then when you get to an item?
We're not, that's in public hearings. We're in public forum right now.
I understand that, but I wanna address an item that is on your agenda for the evening. Are you gonna open up comment later
Yes, I
on?
will.
Okay,
Yes.
I'll wait then for that.
Public hearing.
Not in the public hearing, it's actually on an agenda item that's lower on the unfinished business that will be up for discussion.
Seeing no one wishes to speak, we will close the public forum. The next item in the agenda is new business. We don't have anything listed on tonight's agenda. All right, now we're gonna go into public hearings. Before we can proceed, we need to recess as the planning commission and convene as the Board of Zoning Appeals. Do we have a move to motion to
I so
convene?
move.
A second?
Second.
Or Josh? All right, is there any discussion on that? All right, all in favor say aye. All opposed say no. All right, motion is passed. Let the record show that the planning commission is recessed and the Board of Zoning Appeals is now convened. I now call agenda item 7A, the public hearing for case number BZA V 2026-01, a request for a variance to allow two signs taller and larger in the C3 zoning district. Does any member of the BZA wish to abstain from voting on this agenda item?
No.
Let the record show that there are no abstentions, and we have a quorum of 5 BZA members present at the public hearing. Does any member of the BZA wish to report ex parte communications?
I have not had any project.
Let the record show that no ex parte communications have been reported. The secretary has reported that a notice of this public hearing was published in the Ark Valley News on January 15, 2026, and notices were mailed to the applicant and 4 owners of record of real property in the notification area on January 15th, 2026, all of which is at least 20 days advance notice as required. Unless there is evidence to the contrary, I declare the notification requirements have been satisfied for this public hearing. As the first item of business, zoning administrator Dustin Belton will present the zoning administrator's report.
Thank you. BZA V-2026-01, Casey's Retail Company. They are requesting 2 signs that are larger and taller for property that is zoned to C3 out there at Woodlawn, at Kechi Road and Woodlawn on the southwest corner. The board has jurisdiction to consider the variance request under the provisions of section 15.3 of the Kechi zoning regulations. We need to demonstrate that the hardship claimed by the applicant is an unnecessary hardship caused by the physical surroundings, lot shape, and topography of the subject property, rather than the proposed use being inappropriate for the subject property or incompatible with the surroundings or other mere inconvenience to the applicant. The hardship claimed by the applicant is not solely an economic in nature, such as an attempt to avoid expenses. The next one here, the requested variance will not diminish the condition or value of other properties in the vicinity or inhibit the rights of others to use their property in a lawful manner. The requested variance will not result in an inadequate supply of light or air to adjacent property, create a substantial increase to congestion on public roadways, disproportionately impact public utility systems, service, or capacity, impose a flood or fire hazard, or otherwise endanger the public health, safety, or welfare. Background. The applicant has plans to develop the property and needs signs visible for both K254 and North Woodlawn. The applicant is requesting that the first sign to be 80 feet in height with an area of 710 square feet. The second sign to be 25 feet in height and an area of 82 square feet. Section 811C1 of the zoning regulations state in primary freestanding signs, lots shall be allowed 1 primary on-premise sign that is structurally classified as fixed freestanding, subject to the following provisions. Signs located along arterial frontage shall have a maximum sign area of 64 square feet and a maximum sign height of 20 feet. Section 811C5 of the zoning regulations state, highway frontage freestanding signs. Lots with at least 50 feet of frontage along a designated highway or highway on-ramp shall be allowed 1 additional sign structurally classified as fixed freestanding, subject to the following provisions. Signs may be on or off-premise with no limits on display classification. Signs shall be located within 100 feet of the highway right-of-way line with the sign oriented perpendicular to the traffic flow. Maximum sign area shall be limited to 200 square feet, allowed in addition to the maximum aggregate sign area limits, and maximum sign height shall be 30 feet. Section 15.C.5 of the zoning regulations state, variances from the provisions of these regulations shall be granted by the board only in accordance with the standards outlined in 1505D and shall be granted only as follows: variances to dimensional sign provisions. The base elevation of each sign is 1388 feet for the 80-foot sign and 1391 for the 25-foot sign. Those are the base elevations where those signs are going to be located at. The east, to the east of the property is 63rd or Woodlawn Avenue, which has a bridge over K254. Elevations for 63rd Street or Woodlawn in the area range from 1,390 to 1,413 feet. Section 811C5 would create 5 feet of view for westbound traffic on K254, elevation of 1,388 plus sign height 30 equals 1,418. Having a larger sign area would help east and westbound traffic on K254 see and understand the sign while moving at high rates of speed. Section 811C1 would create a situation where the sign could not be seen for northbound traffic on Woodlawn. Elevation of 1391, sign height 20 equals 1,411. Having a larger sign area would help north and southbound traffic on Woodlawn see and understand the sign. The BZA is authorized to grant the variance in accordance with the standards outlined earlier of the zoning regulations. Approval of the request would allow the applicant to have signs visible and legible from high-speed travel westbound on K254 and northbound on Woodlawn. The subject property was platted as Lot 1, Block 2, Cedar Grove Addition in 2002. No other zoning requests or cases have been assigned to the property. To the north is C3, commercial and undeveloped. South is the highway, and undeveloped is industrial. East is undeveloped and industrial. To the west is commercial, zoned to C3. 5 criteria for granting the variance. Number 1, the property is approximately 25 feet below the highest point on Woodlawn. This creates a unique situation where signs are not completely visible, viewable for traffic westbound on K254 and north on Woodlawn. Number 2, staff does not see the rights of adjacent property owners being adversely affected. 3, strict application of the regulations would require the applicant to have underutilized signs on the property, defeating the purpose of the sign regulations. 4, the proposed height and area of the signs will not change the supply of air or light, has no impact on public streets, fire danger, endangerment to the public safety, or reduction or diminishment of property values in the neighborhood. 5, granting the variance will not oppose the spirit or intent of the zoning regulations. Should the Board of Zoning Appeals determine that all 5 conditions necessary for the granting of the variance are found to exist, then it is the recommendation of the zoning administrator that the variance to allow a sign to be 80 feet in height with an area of 710 square feet and another sign to be 25 feet in height and area of 82 square feet be granted. Attachments, we got the maps. This is an aerial map of the property itself. We've got Woodlawn over here with Kechi Road or 61st Street along the north side. We have a zoning map showing that the property is zoned to C3. To the south is undeveloped industrial. To the north is C3 undeveloped. Further to the east is industrial. Comprehensive plan map showing this area right there where the property is at, showing that it is good for goods and services, which would also be C3. Sign examples, we can see that the first sign over here, 25 feet, this little guy right up here creates an extra height on it, which is requesting the variance. And over here on the right side, this is the 80-foot sign that is being requested. And here we've got a site plan. We have the building itself. Up here we have have the sign for north and south on Woodlawn. Its elevation, the base elevation is at 1,391. The other sign down here, which would be the 80-foot sign, is at an elevation of 1,388, and then the top of Woodlawn right here on the bridge is about 1,413 feet. And then the contour lines from maps, we've got the 1391 up here in the area about where the first sign is going to go, and about 1388 down here where the 80-foot sign, and then the contour lines showing 1,413 for the top of Woodlawn at the bridge for K254. Site photos, north of the subject property, east of the subject property, south looking at the subject property. First sign probably go around here, the other one come way back over here. And then west of the subject property, we've got the back of Boomerangs and RV rental.
Okay, so is this gonna be a truck stop?
It is not a truck stop, it is a gas station with diesel pumps.
Okay, we've never allowed anybody else to put signs signs that big?
No. The regulation, no one's really had the need to it, but with the development of K 254 corridor and with things going in over, by Matson's and Brad Young's area, I believe we're gonna need bigger sign regulations. That's one of the topics that I'm bringing up with the, zoning regulations to address in the future, so we don't have to do a variance each time, or at least minimize variances that are brought to the board in regards to signs.
But we're getting away, that's why we have the signage deal in there.
Yes,
To keep those from being lit up everywhere.
right. Right, so the main issue is that it's along the highway, we do allow for a taller sign in that area. This will help that business be seen and give them a fair chance with the sign regulations themselves. Anything that is changed in the regulations regarding signs, it would only be along the K 254 corridor. It wouldn't be at north of Jumpstart or north of, Northwoods, a big old sign out there that tall. It would just
I
be.
mean, I travel all
Yeah.
over the country, so that's why I'm asking
Right,
these questions, because a lot of places you go, they don't allow the big signs.
right,
So you put it out there on the highway sign, so, you know, where it says Kechi, and then it tells you where you can get off and get gas, diesel, whatever you need.
fair enough.
That's how I do it everywhere you travel, you just look when you're coming up on the exit.
Okay, okay.
I mean, I'm just asking questions.
Oh, yeah. The applicant is here, and he might have better answers or information for you. Are there any other questions for me?
Is there any other questions on the zoning administrator report?
Do we let the applicant go first?
Yes.
Public, okay. Hey, Oscar, to add to your question there, I am talking to another developer who's looking at building in that area who would be asking for sign variances along that corridor as well, so.
No, I
This is just, yeah, just so you know, this is the
I understand what's
first of
going on. I'm
others.
just asking questions.
Sure, I understand, I just wanna let you know this is the first of others to come
Right.
out, so.
Oh, I understand.
All right. I'll now ask the applicant to step to the podium and state their name and address for the record.
Good evening, my name is Jeff Lawman with SBD Engineering, 101 South Kansas, Topeka, Kansas. I'm the civil engineering consultant for Casey's General Store on this project. And just to add to Dustin, you know, we do multiple variances in a lot of different communities. I've probably done, I don't know, 5 or 6, just in the last 12 months. Just to add to one thing that Dustin didn't touch on, is just the safety factor when you're adjacent to on-ramps and off-ramps. Because if, obviously you want the sign high enough where people know when they're approaching the off-ramp to have enough time to get over to exit. So Casey's does a drone study, where they get the location of approximately where the high-rise sign is gonna go, and then they get photos in 10-foot increments, and so that kind of determines, how high the sign is depending on the topography. And Dustin pointed out, obviously, that overpass, is 20 to 30 feet, higher than where the sign's gonna be. So that 80-foot mark, the bottom of the sign roughly maybe 60 feet. So that gives enough vantage point, for that westbound traffic on 254 to be able to see the sign. So yeah, here for any additional questions or can.
Yeah, so I had a question about, because I wouldn't mind having your business here. The problem is like if it's going to bring in the big trucks, okay? And having the big trucks go through town.
right.
So if they were just going to come in, I'm looking at the like coming in, if they was just to come in and then there would be signs to tell them to go back out and go back down Woodlawn that way. But we don't want them going downtown and running the streets.
Yeah, so the plan would be they would go Woodlawn to Kechi, and then this would be the truck entrance. They would loop around, fuel up, pull up here to a stop bar, and then leave, and then go back out onto the highway.
Yeah, that would be ideal. So,
Cheryl?
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying, and it is a concern, we're still in the early stages of it, but we are here just to look at the signs, not,
but if you
not
put
the
the
traffic
signs
going
in,
anywhere.
right, you put the signs and then, right, and we're talking about others, right? Then we don't want, see, that's my problem. You know, is this just gonna be the first of many? And if we do that, then we're bringing in more trucks, and then we're gonna have to pay for more streets, and then we're gonna have, you see what I'm saying? That's my problem.
Right, but we're looking at the legality of whether the sign can go there taller than what is allowed right now.
I
We're not,
get you.
we're not worried about any of that other
But once
stuff.
you do one sign, then you're gonna do another one,
That's right.
and another one, and another one.
That's what,
And
you
it
know,
doesn't ever stop.
I'm good with signs, you know, all that, I'm with you.
Yeah.
We know what's going on. So,
I mean, a lot of towns that I drive through, they don't allow the big tall signs. So like I'm saying, they put it out on the highway signs, what you can get at those towns and those exits.
right,
And that's what most people look at anymore. And they have it on their phone, and they have the GPS, and they have all that stuff. So do we really need to allow for the big signs to go up? That's all I'm asking.
I sold that ground before he bought it to somebody else, and that, if you go walk out there, it slopes down that way. If he wanted to put the sign without it being taller, guess what you're gonna be looking like going over the bridge this way? It needs to be taller. I'm just saying, because of the people that bought it before, was gonna run the same thing. It needs to be taller, or you're gonna have, because he can still put the sign there. He just wants it a little taller, so it's not, like people like me that don't pay attention on my phone and stuff. If I can see it, I know where to get off. If I get a glimpse of it, oh shit, I need to hurry up and turn. Well, the only way I can go, you know what I mean? It solves people from, oh, there's a gas station, to saying, okay, I see it. Plus, if he does the sign where he can legally do it, it's gonna obstruct more than you think.
yeah, I have no
That's what
problem,
you
I
can
understand that.
yeah, I have no problem with signs.
That's what he's asking.
Jeff, you mentioned that your company did a drone study. Was there a minimum amount that you were looking for safety? You know, if it's not 80, is there?
So typically, all the high-rise signs are 80 or above.
Okay.
Just because 80 foot is that mark that you can see well in advance of the off-ramp. If you do 60, then it's, like she said, you're getting too much of that, not seeing it in time to having to switch lanes or
It
whatever.
would still veer off. Yeah.
So typically, all of Casey's high-rise signs next to, divided highways with on and off ramps are at least 80 feet tall, just to get the size to see them. When you go higher, it's when there's other obstructions as far as, is there curvature in the highway, different trees, different other terrain. But this scenario, really once you get over that Woodlawn overpass, then you can, then you can see.
Thank you. Are there any other questions for Jeff? Okay. Please be seated. You'll have the opportunity to respond to questions and comments before the public hearing is closed. We'll now move on to public comments. Joni, Harris, you did not?
I want to speak on a different agenda item,
Oh.
not the hearing.
Oh, okay, sorry. Now it makes sense.
Is now speaking sense?
Now
It's
makes
okay.
sense. Thank
That's
you.
why I asked.
Sorry,
No worries.
we'll get there.
The unfinished business?
Is there anyone else that would like to speak on this item? Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing there, or forum there. Does anybody have any additional questions for the applicant?
I have a question. As far as, and just for clarification, like, and you might have already answered this, but as far as like, it just, I guess we're, responding to Dustin's report. And I know we have passed approval on a few different projects. I guess this question's more for Dustin. Are we still okay as far as like utilities, all that stuff, like?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's all I got.
Seeing none and hearing no further comment, I hereby close the public hearing and will restrict further conversation to the bench. The BZA will now begin deliberations. There will be no further public comment unless the BZA asks a question for clarification. So we'll go through the zoning administrator's report on those 5 conditions and begin our deliberation. Alright. So criteria number 1, any comment or deliberation on the staff analysis? And I'll just read that out. The property is approximately 25 feet below the highest point of 63rd Woodlawn. This creates a unique situation where signs are not completely viewable for traffic westbound K254 and northbound 63rd Street. Anyone agree, disagree, or comment on that? All right, hearing none, move on to number 2. The granting of variance shall not adversely affect the rights of adjacent property owners or residents. Staff does not see the rights of adjacent property owners being adversely affected.
I don't think we got anybody here.
Did they ask?
But is it fair to the rest of the people in the city that haven't been able to do this? The people that's been told, no, you can't do this.
Have there been others?
Yeah.
There's
Where,
been a lot of them.
Really?
That's come in here in the past, that's come in here wanting to do it, they would not variate from what the signs say you can and can't do.
in town though, or are you talking about this specific area?
In town, everywhere, didn't matter.
They don't have signs that tall?
Yes, they
each eye?
were that strict on everything.
You're saying if someone wanted to put a sign that big in the middle of each eye?
They wanted to put stuff up everywhere and they can't do it.
Oh, I just,
That's why there's none of them along K254, the big signs that go up there in the air. That's why there is none.
oh, I think.
Because they would never allow them to be up there. That's all I'm trying to get at. I'm just,
Consistency.
yes, if we do this for him, we haven't done it for all these other people in the past. I mean, they've been sign Nazis around here in the past. I mean, I understand we got all new people, we have all this new stuff, but why should we do that now when we wouldn't do it in the past? What has changed to make us wanna do that? That's what I'm asking.
Yeah,
What's gonna benefit us, the city of Kechi?
my answer to that would be, over time, our growth patterns have changed. And we're starting to see our commercial and industrial move east, along the 254 corridor, as well as Bel Air.
It is.
So,
But
And
still, all
so
those
times
other companies
changes
that are
that,
down
so.
through there, that they never got to put nothing up, because they couldn't.
but I'm not aware of any. Are you
Yeah.
aware of any?
Yeah.
Dustin?
I mean, but I've been here for a long time, so I understand what's going on. I mean, that's all I'm asking is, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. What's gonna benefit us, the city of Kechi, by doing this?
I was thinking that maybe those businesses right here, like Boomerang and, maybe if we had some of those other businesses come in right there, they may benefit from some of the folks coming into Casey's. I don't know,
No,
but,
but
you know what I'm saying?
I'm asking if we do the variance
Mhm.
for the sign. We haven't done it for nobody else in the past,
Mhm.
so we do it for Casey's. What benefit is it gonna be for the city of Kechi to do this, is what I'm asking.
Well, I'm saying that if we're gonna do it for him, we're gonna do it for everybody else that comes through here. Anybody else that's gonna want to put,
Right, so now you got lights strung from here to there, do you want that? That's all I'm asking.
Well, where's from here to there though?
Hmm?
Where's from here to there? Talking
Do
east?
you want lights all the way down K254? Big signs, all that stuff? I mean, I'm just asking,
Probably, I'd see better.
but that's what we're here for, that's what we gotta think of.
cause this, that's, if you do it for him, then absolutely,
Yeah.
it's gonna happen.
Where does Kechi end? On
Uh,
254?
Rock Road.
Rock.
So
Is that right?
that's.
Right
two-
now, it ends at Rock, yeah.
That's 2 miles that you're worried about that way? Are you talking about like
I'm
all the
not
way down?
worried about it, period, I'm
Yeah.
just asking the question.
And I'm trying to put it in my brain.
Right,
And
so
like I said, I've gone
so
through this
that-
before, that sign.
that range would be Oliver, is that where, Oliver to Rock,
Mhm.
and the 254 corridor, right there?
Mhm.
Yeah, I think this is, this is a very specific area that we're talking about, where it's so low that businesses that go in there need to get that signage above. So, I don't foresee a business that's on the east side of 63rd or Woodlawn there, needing an 80-foot sign, because they don't have elevation issues, because it's already up,
But they
up
do,
to
cause
grade
it's
there.
the same
So-
elevation on the east side as it is on the west side.
No, it's higher,
Not much higher if it is.
yeah. Yeah, so this case, very specific, but,
It is very
moving,
specific, but what I'm saying is if we do it for one, now we gotta go do it for everybody else.
sure, and the way this usually progresses is you define an area for these special signs or special requirements, which, just off the top of my head, would be along that 254 corridor. It would limit them to those areas, you're not gonna be able to put an 80-foot sign up, here at the intersection of 61st and Oliver. It would be very specific, so people wishing to come to the city to invest in the city could put those large-scale signs up in that very small defined area. And that's the way I see it going in the future.
That's the way you see it going, but once you do it for one, you have to do it for the rest.
Well, not necessarily if you define it to that one area.
Right, but if we do it for one, the way it reads, if you do it for one, you're gonna have to do it for the rest.
There is another section within the sign regulations that say a sign that's along the highway can't be within another 1,000 feet of another sign that's along the highway. So I don't know whether, I would have to double check on that one and get back to you, but it would be the sign itself 1,000 feet, or if it's from adjacent property 1,000 feet. That would help limit other signs popping up. It wouldn't look like Branson.
But that's what I'm saying, we have to think about all that.
Right, and you had said that other people had, asked for taller signs and stuff like that, and you pointed it out, that it's holding people up here and even down
Yes.
here. If they come to me and ask for a sign variance and I think that it can work, then by all means, I'm gonna fight for them and try to get it for them.
Right,
Yeah.
I understand all
Yeah.
that. I'm just simply stating it out there.
Mhm.
Is this something we want to get started? By doing this, because it's going to be a snowball effect, is what I'm trying to get at. Because we've been sign Nazis for so long. You know, we really have.
Right.
Yeah.
Mr. Jinsby, do you have a ballpark, how many more could be coming this year?
I'm sorry.
Do you have a ballpark about how many more signs could be coming this year like this?
At this time, I can't disclose who the business is, but.
No, I'm not asking for that. You
Yeah.
said there's more to come, so. that's not-
Possibly one in the next
Okay,
12 to 18 months.
Okay.
Possibly, that's
so,
just,
okay,
yeah,
right.
yeah, that was one of their requirements would be having another sign, simply because the overpass blocks, you know, people seeing their business sign there, so,
Okay.
but yeah.
Okay, I'll
But
move on.
Oscar, I understand what you're saying, and that's why I'm saying, in those planning stages, you specify those
Right.
certain areas along, like that 254 corridor, or other parts of town that may have special requirements that aren't sign related, you make variances for those to make things work for people, yeah.
But we never have, that's what
Yeah, I'm sorry,
we never have done that. We just didn't allow it, period.
yeah,
And so that's all I'm trying to get at.
yeah. Well, I think times are changing and we wanna grow, and this is part of growth, and
Well, and I
and we'll,
understand,
you know,
growth. I
we'll manage it
understand.
responsibly.
But I also know there's a lot of cities around the world that don't allow the sign. There's other ways of getting around it by having a taller sign. And maybe we ought to look into some of that. You know, because there is a lot of cities like that. And there's no problems, people go there, hell, I go there. You know, it's not a big deal. Do we wanna start allowing the big signs, or do we wanna stay where we're at, where they do it like everybody else does? You know, that's what we have to look at. There's more than one way to skin a cat.
So is it a concern about like light pollution maybe, or is that part of the concern too?
Right, that, but we've kept it a small knit community, and a lot of cities, like there's one up there in Columbia, Ohio, up there where we go. They don't, like Kechi, they don't allow no big signs or nothing like that, but they have little signs that point you where you're gonna need to go.
Is it gonna affect
That's-
you where you live?
No, it's not gonna affect me at all.
I'm just asking, just the matter.
We've been this way for so long, do we wanna change?
Sure.
That's all I'm asking. You know, that's why you see the little signs, people put them out there, because you can only have signs so big that says what's going on.
All right, I believe we're on number 3. Staff reports that the strict application of regulations would require the applicant to have unutilized signs on the property defeating the purpose of the sign regulations. Does anybody have any comment on that?
I think we kinda talked about it.
Yep, I would agree. Okay. Number 4, staff reports the proposed height and area of the signs will not change the supply of air or light, has no impact on the public streets, fire danger, endangerment of public safety, or reduction of diminishment of property values in the neighborhood. On this one, I will say that I think that there is some safety concerns if you were going westbound on 254 and you didn't see the sign because of the overpass. You know, the next exit is Hillside, right? So you're going 3 miles to get to Hillside to come back. There are, you know, some opportunities that are, I believe, are illegal for you to do a U-turn on some of those little turns. Again, I don't know if someone is at the end of their tank of gas and it's that important, but that's something to think about too. That, you know, there could be a consideration, I mean, that I'm saying advocating for a larger sign, and this is basically what I'm saying, just on that one point.
Right.
Yeah. All right, the last one here, staff analysis granting variance will not oppose the spirit or intent of the zoning regulations.
But another thing to answer to your question, most of the people that travel 254 highway, or it's not like people traveling up and down 135. Most people that travel 254 are going, they know where they're going, they know what's going on. It's not like it's it's a major highway, but it's not like a major highway like 35.
With a ton of visitors, right,
Yes.
that are not familiar with the area. Okay. All right, after concluding our deliberations here, we can vote on this request. Is there any willingness to entertain a motion?
Do I just read this here?
Yes.
Okay. So I move the Board of Zoning Appeals adopt the findings and recommendations stated in the zoning administrator's report for case BZA-V-2026-01.
The motion by Krista. Do we have a second? If we don't have a second, do we have another motion that someone would like to make?
I move the zoning board, at the Board of Zoning Appeals adopt the findings and recommendations stating in the zoning administrative reports for case BZAV 2026-01 and deny the request variance.
All right, we have a motion by Oscar. Any second on that one? Is there more discussion that we can have at this point, or are we?
Yeah, because the motion hasn't been
Okay.
finalized. And if it's a denial, it is recommended that we list the alternate findings for each consideration, the reasons why it's recommended for denial.
Cause he can put the same size sign there, he just wants to be a little higher. there's gonna be a sign there regardless.
Yes,
Yes.
but and I believe Jeff had touched on it earlier, that if the sign is only allowed to be 30 feet tall, people that are on Woodlawn itself going north and south, that sign is gonna be right in their eyes when they're driving right next to it. They're not gonna be able to see the highway itself when they're driving, south, if they're wanting to go, whether they're going north or south, they're not gonna be able to see west K-254.
That piece of
Or
property
the west side.
down, like almost.
So keeping it up higher would keep it out of those people's view as well. Something else to consider.
So the signs are going in no matter what, it's just 20 feet is what we're talking about? Roughly.
Well, I think, I could be wrong, but from what I've heard from you guys, I think the main concern is the 80-foot sign. I don't know about
The difference between what's the variance, what's the total?
total of an 80-foot sign?
No, I mean,
50.
versus what he's wanting, what we normally would allow versus what he's. 50 feet.
Right. And I called Tawanda and asked the city administrator out there, and he said that their sign is either 70 or 80 feet tall out there.
Right, and I think for most billboards, I think that's standard, right?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Benton would be the same, if they put their sign out there too.
Do you want to table it and get more information?
I think we got about all that we're gonna get. I think it's gonna go forward no matter what, as far as a sign. And there will be Casey's out there someday, I mean, that's gonna happen. That'll be what's before us, is if we wanna go that extra, allow the extra 50 feet.
So you're saying that the extra 50 feet looks like the extra 50 feet would that will give people the view of the highway and the view of the sign and the view of Woodlawn, the view of all the streets. So, and that's the safest way to go, is that what we're saying?
They're to increase visibility and safety.
Correct.
Could you,
So-
go ahead, Cheryl.
No, go ahead.
Can you please reiterate the safety factor of it being higher when you're on Woodlawn, so that it is not blocked? I'm just trying to visualize that in my mind at the moment.
So, the way the sign would be set up now is it would be at 40 feet. Or, I'm sorry, it would be, the maximum that it could be would be 30 feet. So about, less than half of this. So we'll say, I don't know, here.
Sure.
It's about 30 feet from 13 to 1389, 25 feet or so. That sign visibility is just gonna be beaming right into their faces, in their eyes. Daytime, it may not be so prudent, but at nighttime, it's gonna be pretty bright.
Yeah, so if I get it, okay,
So
so
if
if I'm
it-
going north and south on Woodlawn,
Yes.
if I could look over to the left, if I'm going north, it's gonna be very bright in my eyes potentially.
You could see what light bulbs need to be changed.
Okay, okay.
To me, I hear what Oscar's saying, I'm a big fan of Sedona, and they're really tight regulations with their light pollution. I think that ship has sailed here.
But has it?
Well,
You're going to allow that ship to sail? or you can keep the ship where it's at.
Well, if you look at our, and I know it's up to the discussion later on maybe, but if you look at our strategic plan, at one time, we were looking at a pillar of light that says Kechi on it. I don't know if that's still the plan. But I think if the signs are going in regardless, I mean,
But it don't go in regardless, cause they're not gonna put it up if they can't make it work. So you're limiting them from doing it. If it's not gonna benefit them, they're not gonna do it.
they're not gonna build a case.
I don't know that they won't put the sign in there if they can't see it.
Yeah, I think it's important to consider too, that the development may just not go in there.
Right.
And that's an economic hit to the city of Kechi, a big
I think it'd
economic
bring more
hit.
people into town, actually,
Yeah.
personally, just
And I
keep
would
it off.
say, I
really.
know this is, I'm only bringing this up for the sake of discussion, because I know some of you are toiling over making a decision on this, but, one of the things that the Casey stores do bring, and it's discussions I've had with the business owners in the industrial park over there, specifically the trucking companies, is they need a place to buy diesel gas here. And this would fill the void that we have for not only our existing businesses, but additional businesses that would come in. Our Quick Stop up here, Jumpstart, has diesel, but you can't get semis in there to fill.
But
So
then we're
these
gonna
would-
take away all the business from Jumpstart.
I don't know that it would.
No, it will. I mean,
This-
it's just part of it. I mean,
This would provide a void that we have for our industries that are currently here, and it is something that they have said they need from this community in order to stay here. So I think there's a great economic impact on both sides. You know, we have to provide services for current commercial and industrial users that
we have a trucking man right here.
Well, if I may speak, I'll stay quiet because I don't know all the forums and lingo in here, but I know Oscar very well, but I'll address you, Oscar. You asked, what does this do for Kechi? If you don't let that Casey's go in and you got 3 diesel pumps, and they decide to move on the east side of Brock Road and put in a full-blown truck stop there, I've seen the increased traffic just on Woodlawn from these Amazon drivers that are totally lost following their
I know they drive
GPS.
by there every day.
And you guys have all seen it come through Kechi. So, to Cheryl's concern, you put up no trucks going beyond this except for local deliveries, and you'll stop 90% of those trucks coming past that Casey's. The other thing with you, Oscar, what you're gonna lose, if you don't allow this Casey's to go in, Casey's is getting big. They, there for a long time, we thought Casey's was dying out, they're making a huge comeback. If they don't come in to Kechi to bring the tax revenue, plus the additional clientele, customers that wanna see what this little town's about, the art district, things like that, that Kechi is known for and proud of, they're gonna build this truck stop bigger and uglier a mile down the road, and you probably won't like that near as much. I'm just saying, you asked what it.
Right, but I don't want you to think I'm against the
No.
truck going in
Yeah,
there. I'm just wanting to know like what you're saying, that's what
it brings in the tax
I love
revenue
the Casey's,
that I
they have
think
mud flap.
that the town of Kechi wants and the town of Kechi needs, I own a trucking company, and to Cheryl's comments, unfortunately, everything you have except babies comes on a truck. People don't like trucks, and trust me, I've been in this industry 30 years. And I've been ran out of places that I've had a building and stuff. Before I bought the old Castor building, I made sure I could be in there because I've been ran out of some other places. People don't like trucks, I get that. Truck drivers have a bad reputation and stuff, but we move America. And for this sign if it's strictly the sign that's holding you guys up, but everybody's okay with the Casey's coming in, I would personally rather see the sign higher, because for a safety standpoint of my trucks crossing over Woodlawn, that is a dangerous bridge in your car, and that is a dangerous bridge in a big truck. It is hard to see with that huge arch that is in that bridge. To me, it's peaked too much in the middle, My wife has almost been in multiple accidents there with her vehicle sitting lower. It is hard to see them coming over. It's hard to get trucks out and turning the corner coming from an angle of the ramp versus a flat stop that you could stop on. To get a loaded truck moving takes some time to make the corner. And believe me, I've had SOS Towing and some other guys call me personally, because if you Google my business, it comes to my personal cell phone, and rip me up one side and down the other because one of my trucks pulled out in front of them in their pickup. It's not that they intentionally pull out 90% of the time. Now, I got drivers just like everybody, you know, that I can't say everything great for, but to get that truck moving and get it around the corner in a timely manner before you're caught with other traffic is hard to do. So to put a huge bright spotlight in your face while you're trying to do that, I think is going to be more detrimental, let's say, to the motoring public than to raise the sign for the view, so to speak. And I could agree with some others. The further away a truck, if that truck needs fuel and that's where he's going, you know, the new Loves has went in finally. I mean, I'm all for it because that's the business I'm in, you know, but to get a truck moved over in a timely manner, 2 miles back down the road, get him in the lane he needs to be in, get him slowed down, get him off on safely and stuff. You know, I think the sign needs to be higher than lower, because you're gonna get somebody out there and he's running on fumes and he's trying to figure out where the heck that Love's is because he's never been in Wichita, Kansas, and all of a sudden, man, there's a Casey's, he knows they got diesel fuel, they're advertising it, and he can get off and patronize the business here. That's tax revenue that stays in Kechi versus going over to Love's and being in Wichita. So that's how it benefits Kechi, is that sign getting that truck, that car, that whoever to stop here versus somewhere else. And if you don't allow the sign to be big enough, I would say the city of Kechi would hate to see that thing move 1 mile and an eighth down the road and you lose all the revenue. That's just from a truck driver's point of view, a business owner in Kechi. I mean, I'm in Kechi, but I got Kechi address, but I guess I'm not part of Kechi. But I attend these meetings. I try to come here and support this community. I would probably live in the Kechi area, except my wife loves the house we live in. So guess what? We live in Wichita. But we like Kechi. We like the way it is. Kechi's growing. That industrial park is starting to take off a little bit. I'm looking at doing some expansion over on Woodlawn myself to you know, bring more business to Kechi in the area. I understand where you're coming from, several of you on this side that want to keep Kechi home and small and everything else, but it's growing and it's coming. And you're either going to welcome it and accept it and try to help out, or it's going to pass you. And when it passes you, it's hard to get it back. So that's my 2 cents worth. But I think the sign being higher would be great for a safety aspect as well as bringing more revenue to the city of Kechi.
Thank you, appreciate that.
You're welcome.
All right, we have 2 motions on the table. One to adopt the findings and one to deny. Do we have a second on either one of those?
Second for adoption.
Okay, we have a second from Josh. All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no.
I'm still going to oppose it.
All right, we're, carries 3-1. All right, before we can proceed, we need to recess as the Board of Zoning Appeals and convene as the Planning Commission. A motion to convene the Planning Commission. Do we have a motion to?
I so move.
Thank you, Oscar. Second, please. Thank you, Josh. All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. Motion passed. All right, we do not have any preliminary plats on the agenda or final plats, so we're gonna move on to unfinished business. Items A is still on, actually, I apologize. can we go back to public forum, since I skipped that for the person, for Joni that wants to speak on that?
It's under unfinished business,
It's,
Right.
it's the regulations discussion,
Yeah.
that's what I would like to speak on.
the very last one, C.
Mhm. Yes.
Okay. All right, so we're gonna skip 10A and 10B, correct? Because we have no updates on that.
Right, still recess, still on hold.
So recess.
Do we have to do a motion for the recess?
It's-
We
No.
only have recess for so long, right?
I mean,
Okay.
yes and no. It could go either way. I know the intent is good for everybody here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll do 10C now, the update on the review of Kechi 2040 comprehensive plan, Kechi zoning regulations, and Kechi subdivision regulations.
So, I'll start. The regulations, I am putting stuff together still. I'll have more information for you at our next meeting. We do not have a meeting scheduled for next month. There's no cases on there. I would, instead of, having a meeting just to talk about the update of the comp plan and regulations, I'm not gonna hold a meeting for next month. I'll have more information, better information for you the following month, in April, January, February, March, yeah. With that, something to consider, I did look at, Richard had asked about, other cities having, regulations that allow the zoning administrator to make adjustments to certain things. It usually comes in this, size of like, a sign height 10% bigger, or, a lot size 10% wider or narrower, things of that nature, smaller things like that, where they can just do an administrative form. One city has it to where the zoning administrator brings it to the city administrator, they look at it together and then authorize it in certain factors like that. So just something to consider, it's something that I'm gonna bring out there to you. If you guys have anything that you wanna send me that, hey, can we take a look at this is what I'm thinking, email me, call me, I've got no problem with that. But that's the only update that I have.
Any questions for Dustin? Okay, hearing none. All right, Joni, apologize.
Oh, no worries at all. Told you, the language was just a little confusing when we first started, so. Thank you. Did you want a copy too? Okay. Joni Harris, 109 West Chippewa Street. Commissioners, good evening. I would like to address comments that were made regarding this regulation discussion at last month's meeting. Because it was brought up whether or not the Arts and Business District is relevant any longer to the city of Kechi, and that's what I'm gonna address tonight. The comprehensive plan was passed in April of 2015. February of 2015. The strategic plan was passed in April of 2015, with the visioning update completed April 25th of 2024. I put together a whole packet that will be referenced throughout this. The Arts and Business District Master Plan was adopted by the Kechi City Council February 2019. Significant financial and community time investment was made in developing this master plan for the core of the city of Kechi. The comprehensive plan focuses on the importance of the district in Kechi's future. And one thing that has been brought up is that it's just an arts focus. It's not called the Arts District. It's called the Arts and Business District. There are many types of businesses that can do business within this special walkable scale work and live district in the heart of Kechi. So I've included an email, which was the strategic plan update that, to my understanding, to this date still, we haven't received the official report from PEC. This was done by the City Council in April of 2024, and this was their 4 main highlights. I've also given you the link to a video that you can watch of that meeting, so you don't have to take my word for it. You can go listen to what was actually shared in that. I also included an Excel spreadsheet of the City of commercial zoning. I did this back when Jeff Englert, did his original proposal for where Turtle Creek is now going. It was for ease of the public to be able to compare what's allowed in our different commercial districts. So that's what that's for. So the packet that I've provided, I've highlighted some different sections from the comp plan to show the importance of the arts and business district. And so I've just highlighted a few things. I'm just gonna bring up just a couple specific things. You can see how you're not gonna talk about this till April. It'll give you a chance to review it, and I really encourage you all to really look at the comp plan. One of the highlights that I wanna bring up is on page 18, chapter 4. It states that the development of the arts and business district would not be a quick redevelopment. This would be a slow development that would occur over time. And it also identifies that Kechi should identify feasible means of providing adequate parking, sidewalks, streets, and drainage in the arts and business district as it progressively redevelops. And if you look at the arts and business district master plan, there's 4 phases. We've only completed phase 1, which was the intersections that was done last year. So this does not say that it's going to happen quickly. This says it's going to take time for it to happen. Another highlight is what's on your page 39. Actually, no, I'm sorry, it's on page 40. It says, towards the bottom, it says, one action is to develop an overlay zoning district that preserves the arts and business district, government facilities, and other unique areas. That is why the C1 zoning was created, was to protect that district. There was a lot of time and money that was involved in creating this district, and that's why we have C1. And if you go back to page 39, it actually does highlight the goals and objectives, is to make sure that we maintain the arts and business district in the heart of Kechi. This was approved by the city council. They're the only ones that could say the arts and business district no longer is viable. So I just don't want the planning commission to take time going, wait, should we recommend that it go away? Because it's in our comp plan, our 2040 comp plan, that the arts and business district is supposed to be a focus for the city of Kechi. If you also read it, it says that the K254 corridor is also a focus of development. I just want to bring that to your attention so that you are aware of that. One of the other things is I included 2 maps at the back. So the first map is the one Dustin showed you tonight, which is a comprehensive map. But if you go and look at the water and sewer master plan that was done in 2023 for the expansion of the utility infrastructure, these 2 maps are in conflict of each other for the land use designations for the city of Kechi. And so I'm very concerned about this because they are quite different. And so a utility infrastructure plan was designed for this map, but not for the comprehensive map. So that was something that I would like to see the planning commission wrestle with, because which map is the correct map that we're looking at for land use designation for the future growth and development of the city of Kechi? I discovered that when I was doing research for wanting to share with you all. A couple of other things. There has been stated that we have had no significant commercial development or progress made in the arts and business district, which is not correct, because Turtle Creek is preparing to break ground, and Kechi Square Shops is also working to get to that point. And just so that you know, I know I've been accused of being non-growth and development, which is not true. At one point, I did reach out to Jeff Englert with his project and asked if he would consider adding a second story to Turtle Creek, if he would change his zoning from C2 to C1, because according to C1, he could have put an apartment he could have put apartments all on the second story, which would completely have aligned with C1 and the work-live option that we had available. And he was too far along in his development plans to consider that. And at the time, C1 did not allow for a drive-through window, and he had a tenant who was signed who needed a drive-through window. So from my perspective, the city of Kechi missed an opportunity for greater growth and development that could have happened with that project due to some zoning irregularities that existed at that time that could have been addressed, and the developer possibly could have increased the size and scope of his development. I'd like you to consider the C1 drive-through for conditional use. The one request I do have is that if you put that through, that the restriction would exist where a commercial business could not have a drive-through adjacent to a single residence. So if the adjacent property is a single family residence, that a drive-through would not be allowed. Jeff Englert's original rezone request for the Turtle Creek property was R2 multifamily, and the residents of Kechi clearly stated they desired limited duplexes, limited multifamily options here in Kechi, and they wanted more single-family homes owner-occupied. However, we all know rentals still exist, even if they're single-family homes. So I would ask that you would consider a zoning regulation that would create a percentage in new residential developments, which are in R1, that would limit how many duplexes could be developed within the R1, because you can do a condition for duplexes within R1. So the example would be consider only 20% of a new housing residential development would allow duplexes. So like say 20%, no more than that, depending, it doesn't matter what size your project is, so that we're limiting the number of duplexes that are being built because people really want to have single family homes here. Again, it's just for your consideration. Please consider requiring green space when new residential housing neighborhoods are built. And then in the comp plan as well, I came across that one of the housing options that is offered is accessory dwelling units. And that is generally disliked by the city council. In past zoning cases, they often will turn them down, or there's very, very strict regulations. I gave you the webpage number and the document number that's on file. It says that accessory dwelling units can be considered where it's an appropriate location, but I couldn't find a definition of where an appropriate location would be considered for the city of Kechi. And it said to streamline the process, and I'm like, okay, I haven't seen any of that in the documentation that I can find. Accessory dwelling units are always considered conditional use by zoning regulation, and so I don't know if that's something as well that the planning commission wants to consider. So that's all I have, and I'll stand for any questions that you might have.
Any questions?
Great, thank you.
So I have a question.
Go ahead.
So on number 2, one, about the,
About the,
20%?
yes, well, it's just a percentage, considering
Percentage, right.
the planning commission, I mean, obviously it would have to be passed by the, city council as well, but it's considering that as a regulation.
So basically what you're talking about is when they come in and wanna do a subdivision,
Like
Right.
76 acres.
right,
Yes.
only 20% of those can be, I think that's a pretty good idea.
Well,
I think it's a
go
great
through
idea.
Saddlebrook. Saddlebrook has 3 blocks only,
Right.
duplexes, and the rest of it single family.
Yep.
And they get more rent. They're not just flat, flat, flat,
Yep.
flat. 'Cause
Right.
We call the big old areas, that are just duplexes, they're gonna be like, they gotta go in 2 years.
Exactly,
That's what
Right.
real estate people call them, but
exactly.
my friend just moved into one, and
Mhm.
it's really a nice area,
Mhm.
but there's only 3 blocks of them, and the rest is single family
Mhm.
homes. So I agree with you on that.
I'm glad we agree on something. It's
Yeah.
awesome. That'd be fun something to agree on.
Okay,
And I
I'm gonna write
think
that
it's
one
like-
down. What's the
And
date
it's
here?
like, and I think in the same vein, it's like, there's also like the commission can put like some requirements for landscaping, or, so you're creating a neighborhood, and it's not just a duplex city.
And for an investor or someone
Right.
to buy them, they know that you're gonna retain your value,
Yep.
Yes.
if not go up,
Yes.
versus, is it 53rd and Greenwich or Webb that has the area there?
Yeah,
I
Webb,
mean,
they have one.
drive through there in a year,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
So what do you do? I mean, is that like how do you do that?
Well, that you would change the zoning regulation and say this is your recommendation for subdivision. A new subdivision can't have more than whatever percentage in R1.
That's what Dustin's going to bring to us, not next month, the month after.
So we could do that.
But that's probably not gonna be on his
No, but that
topic
could
of
be on our
information. That's
agenda.
why I brought this to you for you all to
But
consider.
I think it needs to be put onto his agenda.
Absolutely, I
And we
agree.
can do that.
And I like the idea of the drive-through window,
Mhm.
not being able,
Definitely.
we need to allow some of those things,
Yes,
but we still need to have control
absolutely.
of what they're doing.
Yeah, but I think
Right.
unfortunately that guy that lives there, his house is in commercial, he's in C1. and-
But it's a single family residence.
Right, I get it, but I'm just saying,
So
that
that
was
would,
all
that would restrict it.
commercial.
Yeah. So what would have been different, so say, Carlos originally, he had wanted the drive-through for the ice cream shop or something. Well, that's already next to a property that while there is a home there, that's actually part of a business. So they already have business cars driving around their home all the time, and I think that that would have been okay then to have put a drive-through on that property, but not next to a single-family home like this one is. So that's just my perspective, so, yeah. Anything else?
Yeah, thank you, Joni. I just wanna say thank you for putting this together, and I definitely think there's
Yeah.
a few things that we could put on the agenda that kinda,
Definitely.
best represents what the citizens of Kechi, I think, have voted for and everything, so
Yeah.
I appreciate the feedback.
You're welcome. Thank you for being willing to listen.
And can
Thank
you
you.
give one of those to Dustin?
They all have it
Okay.
over here.
Mhm.
Yeah, they all have it, a copy of it, and I'll make sure that Richard gets a copy. I have one more packet for Richard as well, so I'll make sure he gets it when he returns.
You may be in minutes.
Huh?
They should be-
And if, Dustin's not in here, but if you could, share with him that we are interested in some of the stuff that's in Jody's packet. Just put his stuff together, if he could look at that
Yeah.
and put the options in there, would be great.
Yeah, what I would suggest doing is emailing or letting him know in what you're specifically interested
Mhm.
in, and that way we're driving that agenda
Mhm.
on April.
Yep.
And I really encourage everybody to look at the comp plan, because even today, when like I went back through it again, I was like, oh, I didn't realize this, I didn't realize this. There's quite a bit about K254, there's a lot about the Arts and Business District. And so it was a good refresher for myself to go back through it again to see what the plans were that were put into place.
And then we need to make another note that the signage needs to stay on 254. That's the reason why I voted against it,
Right,
because the signage says the city of Kechi. It doesn't say 254 corridor or nothing like that. It's not that I was against doing any of that, it's just if you read it, it states for the whole city, not
Yep.
for that corridor.
Yeah.
words matter.
They do.
They do, they absolutely matter.
Yes.
So, thank you all.
Thanks, Joey.
Thank you.
All right, that
So can we get Dustin back in here for a minute before we close this?
You want me to go get them? I can go get them.
We might as well, because if not, he's not gonna do it.
That's right.
Email and call him.
I ain't got that much time.
What's up?
Okay, so she's brought up some really good ideas,
Uh-huh.
and when you're going through all that, we'd like to add some of it in there.
Okay.
Like, on our signage deal, the reason why I voted against it was because in our rules, it states for the city of Kechi. We need to put the corridor, that we're going to allow higher signage along the 254 corridor.
Yes.
Okay.
And from the notes that I believe that I handed out last month, it mentioned along the K254 corridor only.
Right.
So, yeah, I'm 100% agree.
But that's the reason why I voted against it, and I was against it because we don't allow it anywhere else. And in our book, it states for the whole city.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
So
Yes.
to me, that needs to be changed.
Mhm.
And then, like Joni brought up the 20%
It's in here in the packet.
in the packet. We'd like to do that, maybe only 20% for the,
Duplexes versus
Right
single
here, it's
family.
number 2, if you look at the first page.
First page.
Yep, number 2, and, it says, consider a zoning regulation percentage of new residential developments, R1, that would encourage single-family home neighborhoods, i.e. regulation, no more than 20% of a new residential development could be duplexes, with the remainder to be single-family homes.
Okay.
Well, and I would say, usually they'll have a plat, so they might have, well, I
Yes.
guess we have to stick at 20, but I'd give them 25% because, but again, I'm with,
You know,
I'm
yeah.
with you on that.
That's what we're looking at.
That's for y'all to wrestle out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
right. But I mean, some ideas like that, and then the drive-through, allowing drive-through, put, you know, lots of stuff on it, but being able to allow a drive-through
Will be conditional use.
with a conditional, yes.
Yeah.
Right, and that was one of the options from
Right.
last month, yes. Yeah, this, going through all of these, when they haven't been touched in years,
Right.
it's gonna be a big bite to take.
But a lot of the stuff she put in there makes a lot of sense, I just wanted you to know that.
Okay.
You could read through it, come up with some more ideas, add it in there, that's what you do, so.
Yeah, absolutely, I can do that.
Anything else for Dustin?
Green space and.
Oh, yeah, maybe put a little green space in there.
We got reaching
In residential areas and development?
If we can, in some of the
Yes.
developments.
What we're trying to avoid is building a bunch of, a development, a bunch of duplexes, and a year later, it's like run down.
You're only gonna build 20 or 25%, so that wouldn't matter.
Right,
Right. Okay.
My example was like 100%.
Mhm.
So,
Maybe that one doesn't make it through, I'm just saying.
So it's,
You know,
I think the underlying tone was like, you know, making a neighborhood, so 25% duplexes, green space, whatever, so.
Maybe putting a little park or, you know, where they need to add some park or some kind of something into the neighborhood.
And the only problem with that is if it's the developer that owns it and he develops it, he's responsible for the park. He's gotta maintain it, he's gotta do that. That's more of a city-town thing. So you need to think about that, like
Yeah,
who's gonna
what
mow
a
it,
lot
who's
of
gonna
them done
maintain
is
it,
they-
who's gonna get sued if
They
Jimmy falls off the
designated that
jungle
to
gym.
the city, is how they do that.
If they want to.
Right, but, I mean.
That's
just
why we
some
have
ideas
Kechi
to
Park,
throw
the
in.
developer gave it to the city.
If we could pull some of that off.
Yeah,
We can always
yeah,
ask.
it's all up
They
for
can say yes or
discussion,
no.
we can go
Yes.
through it all together and, you know,
But
once
I
we have
just
the
thought
public
she brought
hearing.
up some really good ideas,
Yeah,
maybe we ought to touch on some of those.
okay. Absolutely. Anything else stand out specifically that you're,
Buddy, there'll be so much stuff come up, who knows?
Well, you know,
It's just a change as we go.
I know like the sidewalks and all that got done last year, right, Dustin, with the light posts, the sidewalks on 61st and Oliver.
Not everything got done.
Not everything got done?
No.
Not
Well,
even close.
so I guess my question is, like, looking at our plan here, if, let's say we just kept it as is, what would be like the next phase, or the next step?
the next step for what?
Well,
I'm not picking up what you're putting down.
okay, well, like the strategic plan or whatever, as we, cause I thought that was part of that, was the sidewalks
The
expansion.
downtown project.
Was that not part of the strategic plan or the comprehensive plan?
Comp plan, the comp plan kind of encompasses everything for growth.
Right,
The downtown plan itself is, I believe, a separate entity.
okay,
But there was a plan to connect these sidewalks all the way to the deal up there on the Woodlawn.
They can't go to Woodlawn.
I understand that, but that was the thought process.
Yeah, there were plans to have sidewalks go to Bel Air and all kinds of other stuff. It just,
okay,
it's not feasible to do.
okay,
So when they put in the truck stop, can we kind of put a sidewalk where it can kind of go over to hook into that, or no? There's no way to do that.
I don't know. One thing to consider, and everybody's intent on this is spot on, it's only for the betterment of the city as a whole. But when there has to be a give and take when you say, we want to develop, this residential area, but with only 25% duplexes, you limit who wants to come in and develop in the city. That limits growth.
But I understand it does
Okay.
that, but the whole thing is too, down the road 20 years from now, what's it gonna look like?
Right,
If we don't start limiting it now.
right. But on the opposite end is, what will it look like if we have limited it and we haven't grown?
Well, but it is growing,
Mhm.
just not at a
Yeah.
rapid pace, like some of these other cities. But they're bringing in stuff like all these duplexes that in 4 or 5 years is gonna be slowing.
Right, and their crime is going up,
Yes.
the kind of growth that we don't want here. Right, so we
Right, but
don't,
there's a lot of professionals that live in duplexes themselves. They're nurses.
I'm not saying nothing wrong with the
teachers.
duplexes.
yeah, but
Right,
there's a lot,
but we can't limit duplexes as, they're gonna be crime ridden. That's why
Okay,
we only want
so let
25%.
Krista explain how she just explained it a little
Oh,
bit.
great. No, I was just saying, when they said to limit it within single-family homes,
Mhm.
they're maintained better, they have good tenants, they're paying $17.50 a month, $1,750 a month. And the developers that I've talked to, they like that, but they only wanna put X amount of them in there to mix with the single-family homes. They're getting those professional people that aren't in the duplex. For example, at one of the WABA meetings we went to, was that, the place on 53rd and, is it Webb?
Well,
Yeah. People build those, which it's in the middle of nowhere, kinda, sorta, so it's not affecting you as a town, but 2 years I sell them to an investor in California, and we call them the ghetto.
A duplex goes by me, I'm selling my house.
Huh?
A duplex goes by me, I'm selling my
Yep.
house.
Yep.
Well,
That's right.
if a duplex goes next to me, I'm not gonna sell my house. I mean, there's nothing wrong with the duplex. I mean, we were gonna buy one the other day. It's $450,000 to buy a duplex. They rent for $17 to $2,000 a side. That's not the ghetto. And not everybody can afford that. Some people can't even afford that for a house payment.
well,
They're paying rent.
it does depend on what kind of a duplex it is, right?
And the developer.
And the developer,
What do you mean,
what
what
kind of
kind?
a, yeah, but there's some of them that,
Yeah,
there's some of that are okay.
I think like one of the nicer developments, and maybe you all disagree, is like over in Valley Center, I think it's like Redbud, I can't remember. You don't like that one?
Well, we bought lots and built houses over there.
But there's duplexes and single family, right?
And drive through there in 2 years.
So it's gonna be trash, you think?
Well, it's low income house over there.
Okay, so, never mind.
I just think the other thing to be aware of is that KDOT's in the middle of doing a study on 254, looking at Rock, Webb, and Greenwich. There's gonna be an overpass put somewhere.
Right.
So, it's gonna be your decision about what guidelines do you wanna put down for Kechi's future.
So does the duplexes at Rock and 254 bother you, that they're all duplexes?
Where at?
254 and Rock, does that bother you?
Mm-hmm.
It bothers you?
They do.
I would feel more
They do
comfortable if we
utility
done the
billing.
25%.
Do what?
Oh, those,
20,
They do
25,
utility
yeah, 'cause
billing,
they're all
not pay
duplexes.
their rent.
oh, yeah,
There's
yeah,
only
no,
one or two homes in there.
yeah, probably.
No, all I'm just saying is you just don't want that real close to town is what
Right.
you're saying.
Right,
But we have the new development fixing to go in up there by Roach.
Uh-huh.
I would love to limit it to 25%.
Well,
Duplexes
I'd
make
look
the
at
rest
their
of
plat
them
map
homes.
and see what they're presenting and
Yes, and then,
approve it by that.
yes.
Not, I wouldn't wanna handcuff someone to a certain
I don't think we
percentage.
could do it now.
Well, that's what.
That's
the-
already been put through. You guys, that's too late for that one.
Oh, yeah, he can do whatever he wants, but I'm just saying, in
Yeah.
the future, I would,
Yeah.
that's why we look at plats.
Right.
So if they've got a preliminary, this is what they wanna do, maybe they've got 30%. I think it's on a case by case basis. Some guy may wanna put in a fishing pond in a park, we don't have to make it, but.
Like that guy, I remember we were talking about that, we asked him straight up, how many duplexes, he's like, I don't know.
I definitely would want to have a max. I mean, you couldn't go over.
I'm going home.
I think you have to pass.
No,
No.
she's going home.
You'd have to.
But we can give them variance as we go,
Yeah.
but I think we need to have a number set. We can go up
If you're
from
gonna
there
do
if
it,
we need.
Because they have property. She'll be on there day
But
45.
anyway, it's some things to think about, look
Thank
at.
you.
But they're nice, I mean, go drive through Saddlebrook, I mean, they're really, really nice duplexes.
You're seeing Saddlebrook now?
That's what they did, go past Saddlebrook, and it's still Saddlebrook, they're doing single-family homes around 300,000 to 400,000.
Mhm.
But they have 3 blocks of duplexes, and one of my best friends, we moved her in one. It's awesome.
Okay.
But they maintain the owner mows it, all that stuff. They share a common well, all that kind of stuff, but, I mean, she's paying like $17.50 a month. But there's gonna be people like my kid, who can't, and he's 30, and he's gonna live in a duplex. That's what he's gonna do, because he doesn't know how to maintain anything. And then there's Lori, who's my best friend, she's 55. She's just sold her house, she doesn't wanna maintain anything either. That's why these duplexes and these single-family home areas hold their value better and they're maintained better, because you're bringing in better tenants, and they stay there a lot longer.
Yeah,
She's not gonna move after this duplex.
right. Now, see, those are usually like a 55 plus.
No, I'm just saying, just drive through there, and it's,
The ones that are like a patio home type of
well,
thing.
that's, in patio home, I can be 21 and live in a patio home. No, you're defining by age, which is illegal, by the way.
Well, that's what they say on the sign. Says right there on the sign.
Assisted
55
living,
plus.
yeah, or single family living for seniors is one thing, but you can't discriminate by age.
It says right there on the sign, 55 plus community.
There's singing.
Not in a subdivision, but, yeah. Anyway, that's for another,
Was
for
in there,
April.
it said right there on the sign.
All right, TBD.
So move.
Great discussion today. Absolutely great. All right, is there a motion to adjourn?
Yes.
So move.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
I don't want my pajamas. I'm kidding, I'm sorry, pajamas.
Why not? We could do that. It's like, feel like going home. Actually, it is past my bedtime. Although I can never.
I brought up is that when I was looking through stuff, so this is the PEC water and sewer master plan map,
I still back around.
and this is the comp plan map. They're in conflict with each other for percentage. So, I asked the planning commission to consider looking at that, like, how do we reconcile this? They're quite different.
So that's what you want to get.
This is 2023.
That was
And so it's just like, so there's been things that I've talked about in the past, based on water and sewer, when we're talking about infrastructure, but this map is completely different. So it's like, how do we reconcile those for growth and development?
That would be one of those things that we look at.
That's what I'm just asking.
Yeah, I've never seen this one, but
That's in the water, in both the water and sewer master plans. So that was what PEC did for 2023, so I guess I was just confused, like, why there wouldn't have been based on that. So, it's a good question, I don't know,
yeah,
but I'm just saying I realize that they're in conflict with each other, so,
fair enough.
yeah.
Okay, good to
Thank you.
know. Thank you.
All right, see you guys.
See you, Oscar.
Can I ask her?
No amaretto on your, icy?
No marijuana.
Kids. How are you?
How are you doing?
Good.
Thanks, Josh.
All you see is, you're in January, right?
So, you know, we're
Good for that Casey's.
Oh, yeah?
Yes, and you
Oh,
told
it'll
us
be
today,
phenomenal.
talking about, incentive plans.
I'm surprised they didn't have, well, they don't have, the reason why my guy that bought it didn't use it because KDOT was gonna make them put in a retaining pond, retention pond.
Really?
Remember, when he came through, I wasn't on the board then.
Good.
Yeah, he sold it, he was gonna make the storage.
Oh, that was
No,
before.
I
He's
tracked
actually a
it.
state
I
representative.
saw that, I saw that, yeah.
That was
Now-
before my time, because I don't remember.
Mhm.
Good, good. Well, I'm glad you did it.
Coming
I
back.
think KDOT
Good.
was gonna come in and put
Good.
it, told them they were going to put a retention pond back up, so they
I gotta stop this.
sold it.
No, you're good.
Again, to Casey.